There's lots of talk about a PlayStation 5 Pro, and people are talking about it like, hey, can't wait to get our hands on this PlayStation 5 Pro. A PlayStation 5 Pro, that's the thing. Listen, I get it, but I don't get it, okay? Because I was all in last generation on a PS4 Pro and an Xbox One X for multiple reasons, and it made sense for multiple reasons. Real quick, before I get into this bit of news, why it made sense was the generation started. Consoles were made with very cheap parts, off-the-shelf parts, and things like that. And the reason why they did that was both Sony and Microsoft did not want to take risks on something that people have been saying would be a last generation. Nobody was interested in consoles anymore, etc., etc. So this was something that led to less than stellar parts being used, unlike the 360 generation, where the 360 was above what PCs were at the time, right? So we got mid-gen refreshes. Also, the explosion of 4K TVs also became very, very reasonable. You could pick one up. I remember picking one up for $400 or $500 at the time when the Xbox One S came out, and then I got an Xbox One X the following year. It was very interesting because they really kind of set you up for that. Now, what's going on with the PS5 Pro? Nobody knows. Supposedly, it's kind of a real half measure, but people are saying don't expect some huge boost in frame rates and things like that because it's the same CPU basically. So much like the PS4 Pro was a half measure, this is a half measure, and they're really trying to use this to really push, I guess, some of the ray tracing and legit ray tracing. The thing is, though, if you're an Xbox fan and you go, we need to have that Xbox Pro out there too to combat this, why? That would be my question. Nobody's taking advantage of the Series X anyway. Everybody's making games for the PS5 and porting it and not using it. The Xbox Series X is so much more powerful than the PS5, but the funny thing is nobody's using the things that's available for them to use, right? It has hardware ray tracing, hardware shaders, all the stuff that the PS5 has to use, basically software versions of these things, but nobody's using them on the Series X, right? Why? Because they're making the games on the PS5. Even if they came out with a Series XX, right, and it was way more powerful than the PS5 Pro, nobody's going to use it besides maybe Xbox first party, right? And then even then, you're still having to develop something that's going to be able to run on the Series S and the Series X. And I think having 3 different SKUs is more trouble than it's worth. The better thing to do, which is, according to this leak, release an Xbox early. Release your next-gen Xbox early. Now, what's very interesting here is this is something that came out from a couple months ago that's just now getting picked up on. This Kepler guy is a data miner who has mined some data, and somebody was talking about Phil Spencer said Elder Scrolls 5 might take 5+ years after Starfield, and documents indicated a next-gen console in 2028. And this Kepler guy who data mines a lot of stuff said Xbox Next is earlier than 2028. And somebody was talking about back in September of this year, it's likely to be on Xbox Series S and X, likely but not guaranteed. Next console gen comes out 2027, give or take a year. Elder Scrolls 6 is probably 28, give or take. Likely they're going to want to do cross-gen release when it comes out. They'll want big sales, not enough people on next gen. And then Kepler once again says Xbox Next isn't that far away. Also talking about the refresh in terms of the 2024 refresh with the leaks and considering AMD Zen 6 and Navi 5 architecture, Kepler says he's heard different things, which again, if you go back to Phil Spencer's comments when these things leaked out, he said things have changed, right? And I don't know why people are so uneager to believe him, because you can literally change these things. Nothing is written in stone right there. So the fact that he's heard some different things makes a lot of sense. No 6nm Arden Plus, Sparkman Plus. Wonder if this was a canceled project. Talking about the Xbox Series S, or excuse me, X Slim. That's like a round version that everybody's assuming is going to come out next year. We don't really know. Right? And listen, Microsoft could come out with a Pro version or whatever. I don't know. But to me, it makes a ton more sense. Maybe it will to you guys as well. Yes, it'll probably suck having a year or two where PlayStation 5 Pro is the more powerful thing. But like I said, what's it really matter? Because at the end of the day, Xbox games are getting the short end of the stick anyway, right? Like, nobody's going out there and developing for Xbox and going, oh, let's develop for Xbox and then port it over to PlayStation, which it should be. Why? Because PlayStation has this big install base. Microsoft really kind of went all in with you're thinking that the cloud stuff would be big this gen, and it wasn't. That's unfortunate. But at the same time, we have to look at these things, and we have to look at these situations and go, Microsoft has to be fluid. Just because something was what people thought it was years ago doesn't mean that that's what it is anymore. So, it is crazy to think, but at the same time, why wouldn't you maybe launch in 2027? Sony's going to do 2028, right? That's just, we know that they're going to do that. So why not launch early like the 360 did? And this makes sense for a lot of reasons. You bungled, so they bobbled the Xbox One and never really recovered. Xbox Series X, great console, but you had nothing there to really get people excited at launch, or even slightly down the road, because it was like, okay, you did have cool stuff like Forza and a Halo coming out in 2021, good games, but those are cross-gen games anyway. So there was nothing really there to necessarily go, okay, well, this is why you need to get a Series X. Now, I wasn't even going to get one at the time. I was kind of like, okay, well, what's it matter? I'll get a PS5 and get a Series X later. I'm sure a lot of people thought like that, and I'm an Xbox guy, right? I'm sure a lot of people thought like that. Then they bought Bethesda or ZeniMax, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go in and I'm going to get this day one. And, it's kind of worked out. I've enjoyed playing my Xbox tremendously. But at the same time, imagine if they launch a year ahead of Sony next gen. Imagine if they launch with, a completely redone UI, controller, all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying scrap the controller design where it's the asymmetrical things or whatever, but 360 to Xbox One kind of make something special there or whatever. Launch with Blade, Elder Scrolls, the new Call of Duty in Game Pass. You're the only one getting the next gen version because PS5 doesn't have a next gen version yet. So you do that, you get the jump on Sony. Yeah, you're not going to beat them worldwide, but certainly you can pull a 360, beat them in the US, beat them in the UK, right? Make them have to work for stuff, get a jump on them, I think that would be incredible. That's the smartest thing to do. And now rumors are kind of saying that that's what's going to happen. And I got to say, it really makes me happy to see that that's the case, right? Why not? Why not have that be the case? Go on the offensive, take a risk. You're Microsoft, for crying out loud, right? You are literally Microsoft. So why not do that? It'll never not make sense for me for Microsoft not to take some of these risks and get some of this stuff to where, they can go, okay, well, we really are going to push Sony, right? You're Microsoft. You are literally Microsoft. Do it. You guys can do it. You guys can do whatever you want. If you want to give away the Xbox right now for free, do it. Why? Yes, you're going to lose money, but imagine the people that will try your services and games and your console and love it and subscribe to Game Pass and buy games on Xbox, right? Think about it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.